SEFA is a business that has only formed this year, and so we formed to bid for the social enterprise monies that were matched with by the Commonwealth Government. So we raised $10 million and the federal government matched with 20. So we're in business to lend $20 million to social enterprises in Australia.
So how do you go about lending to social businesses?
Good question, Peter. So it's basically we're building a pipeline of businesses, because a lot of social enterprises in Australia are not that actually thinking about lending money yet. They're still building their financial expertise. Some are there. So we are, as a bank would be doing, assessing them on a credit basis and a ability to repay, and we look at them as a total business perhaps compared to a bank.
Do you find there are sufficient social businesses actually interested in borrowing money? Because I suppose traditionally a lot of money's been given but not borrowed for, for a sum that they've got to actually repay back.
No, very good point, and it's still early days in Australia that a lot of social enterprises have not actually thought about the debt. It's not only that, they also often, their financial capacity and their financial expertise is often not high, and they have to build that side of it as well. So we have a mentoring program as well to help businesses who wish to go down that path develop their expertise and skills.
I'm curious, David, it goes back to a question we were asking Ian. You've been brought up in the world of markets. You're now working in the world of community. Are there big differences that you see between the two?
No, not really, and that's been asked many times. It's a spectrum, it's a continuum. So even a BHP is effectively a social animal. It's not pure business. So a BHP has to look after its staff, it has OHS programs, etc., etc. All we are doing is saying that businesses that perhaps give a majority of their profits to a social good of some sort is what we're specialising in. So it's just a continuum.
You think they're getting closer together? Peter and I were just talking in the news, though, about the distrust that's really building between the community and business, I suppose, whether it's AGMs or, I don't know, the Occupy Wall Street movement.
No, you could look at it that way. I would look at it around the other way and say actually it's a wish and a want for the community to take on more. I think people are starting to realise government can't do all. They are starting to ask. I think those movements are more the community asking business to do more in the social space.
Now, I know both of us have a little bit of an interest in history and look back to 19th century Australasian colonies, and there was this huge social business movement. There were all these cooperatives and mutual societies and so on, which has tended to fade. It's a rump of Australian business. Do you think that 19th century experience has got any relevance to the 21st century?
Absolutely, Peter. I think what was happening at that stage was that the community was saying, well, they're on their own in this country, they're developing a country in a sense and have a looking at it, and they were saying, right, we'll put these structures together to help ourselves. What's happened in the interim is the government has stepped in quite a bit in other areas, and communities have stepped back. But I think what we're seeing now is the community starting to step forward more.
So, what can the government actually do to stimulate that entrepreneurial spirit, if you like, of the community sector?
I think it's about actually encouraging people to say, yes, this is the right path, yes, and not standing up and saying that you can do everything. So, everyone's sort of basically being a little bit more honest about what people can do.
Now, I've noticed, we sometimes talk about, let 100 flowers bloom, good old Mao, but I notice you've used that a bit in talking about social finance, that there's going to be different forms of social finance and not one single model. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I certainly think so. So what we're looking to do is to actually develop the market a bit and have a little bit deeper. There's not really a market for finance in this space, and by developing that market, you in the end do exactly that, get your diversity, and in the end, of course, you're getting specialties. And generally, as we know, as you get specialties in certain areas, you tend to get higher efficiencies. And what we're trying to do really is just lift the efficiency of this whole sector.
So you're out in the market now, you've got money, you're offering it. So, looking ahead to the end of this year, how many loans do you hope you're going to have been able to make?
This time next year, probably about 8 or 9 or 10. We're looking for about maybe 20, 30 total for the money we have now. But of course, we'd also like to raise some more money and obviously expand.
And you think there are sufficient businesses out there with a mission who think that they have a form of revenue which would allow them to repay a loan?
Absolutely, Peter, absolutely.